two methods of nanoparticle synthesis. They are named as top-down approach and bottom-up approach respectively. So if you see this diagram, the left hand side figure shows the top-down approach, wherein the bulk metal is divided into smaller particles and finally it produces the nanoparticles. Whereas in bottom up approach we start from literally from atoms, molecules, we bring them together to form clusters, and as per the requirement of nanoparticle synthesis we form the different type of nanoparticles in bottom up approach. So again this figure also shows the top down and bottom up approach for the synthesis of nanoparticles. The top down approach we can synthesize the nanoparticles by machining, etching, etc., for which we require some certain physical and chemical methods and bring down to the nanoscale. Whereas in bottom up we manipulate the atoms, molecules of organic and inorganic material at atomic and molecular scale to bring the required change or to bring the to synthesize the required nanoparticle. So we use in top-down approach we use the different processes such as etching, nanolithography. We start from bulk material and goes to the nanoscale as shown in the left hand side of the figure. Whereas on other hand in bottom up approach we start from the atoms, molecules of different organic or inorganic substances and we use the physical or chemical triggers for bringing them together to form a cluster and finally to make a nanoparticle. Further, one more example of top-down process, we start with bulk wafer. We apply layer of the photoresistance material on the wafer. We expose that wafer with UV light through the mask and we etch the wafer and we can synthesize a nano layer onto the top of this bulk wafer. This etched wafer with desired pattern is now obtained and this etching can be done at nanoscale. So this is the one of the example of top-down approach. The second is the bottom-up, as we already discussed in previous slides also. We start with bulk wafer. We alter the area of wafer where the structure is to be created by adding polymer or seed crystal or other. We use the other techniques to start the deposition of nanomaterial onto the wafer. The grow or assemble the structure on the area determined by the seed crystal or polymer, and this assembly of atom to atom or molecule to molecule, the substance is going to attach on the surface of wafer, and this technique is generally called as self-assembly. Let us now discuss the top-down approach. The industrial technologies operate from top-down bottom usually, where the blocks or chunks of raw material are cast or sawed or machined into precisely formed products by removing the unwanted matters. Result of such process may be rather small or very large. Okay, if we consider the small changes, for example, the integrated circuits in electrical or electronics appliances with structures measured in microns, and sometimes this process may be, their effect may be large, such as the ocean levers or jumbo jets, etc. So manufacturing of jumbo jets also required some kinds of nanoparticle. We will discuss this part in the application part of the nanoparticles. Now we will discuss the bottom-up approach. The bottom-up deals with the techniques of organizing individual atoms and molecules into particular configurations to create the complex products. For example, we can take the human body as a bottom-up approach. The human body begins as a single cell, that is a fertilized ovum, and the very complex cells and structures are formed in human body. Yet a mature human being consists of approximately 75 trillion cells, and they are complexly arranged and of many different varieties. That in human body there are many different cells. If we take the neurons, red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, different types of such cells are available in human body, and their working is complexly arranged, and the variety as I mentioned already. The molecular machinery responsible for this is capable of such results because it performs operation in parallel and from the bottom up. So, if we consider this operation, that is with many cells operating at the same time through most of the growth processes. The both top down as well as the bottom up approach defines the level of advancement in the nanotechnology. The key to the application of the nanotechnology will be the development of the processes that control the placement of individual atom to form products of great complexity at extremely small, that is the nanoscale. So, in top-down approach, the starting material is usually in solid state. The different physical processing methods for synthesis of nanoparticles by using the top-down approach are the mechanical methods and lithographic techniques. The mechanical methods include cutting, etching, grinding and ball milling. Such methods can be used for the top-down approach for nanoparticle synthesis. In lithographic techniques, the photolithography, electron beam lithography can be used for synthesis of nanoparticles. If we consider the bottom-up approach, all the bottom-up techniques, the starting material is usually gaseous state or in liquid state of matter. The physical and chemical processing methods I am now explaining. Physical techniques, first of all, it includes the physical vapor deposition, is usually pronounced as PVD. It involves condensation of vapor phase species. Second method is evaporation. This evaporation may carried out by thermal means or electron beam bombardment onto the matter. Next is the sputtering, and next one is the plasma arcing and laser ablation. These are the physical techniques. Whereas on the other hand, we have some chemical techniques. In chemical techniques, the chemical vapor deposition is one of the technique in which deposition of vapor phase of reaction species can be done onto the surface of substrate. The another method is PVCVD, RF-PECVD, MPECVD, etc. The self-assembled monolayer, electrolytic deposition, sol gel methods, microemulsion route and pyrolysis are some another techniques that can be useful for bottom-up approach and the chemical techniques in the bottom-up approach. If we consider the advantages and disadvantages of both top-down approach as well as bottom-up approach, first of all we will consider about the top-down approach. Let us now discuss the advantages of top-down approach. The top-down approach in large scale can be possible. So deposition over a large substrate can be possible in top-down approach. The chemical purification is not much importance and is not required in top-down approach. So that are the advantages of top-down approach. On the other hand, the top-down approach has several disadvantages also. The first disadvantage is broad size distribution can be possible. So we can get the particles ranging from 10 to 1000 nanometers in the size. So the physical methods or top-down approach can give the very broad size distribution if we consider the nanoparticle size. The varied particle shapes or geometry. This varied particle shape or geometry can be obtained as we are using the different machining techniques for bringing down size to the nanoscale. In such techniques, the shape of particle may be varied from particle to particle depending upon the forces applied on the substrate or substance. The next disadvantage, we have control over deposition parameters and it is difficult to achieve. The next disadvantage in top-down approach is the interference of the impurities that may be caused due to the stresses, defects, imperfections get introduced while machining or when we are using the methods that are suggestible for the top-down approach. On the other hand, bottom-up approach, it has some advantages. Ultra-fine nanoparticles, nanoshells, nanotubes can be prepared easily using the bottom-up approach. Second advantage of bottom-up approach is deposition parameters can be controlled properly in a properly monitored atmosphere. The narrow size distribution can be possible in bottom-up approach. Generally, the nanoparticles in the range of 1 to 20 nanometer can be obtained using the bottom-up approach. The bottom-up approach is sometimes include the cheaper techniques for the preparation methods. Whereas the bottom-up approach has certain disadvantages also. The first one is the large scale production is difficult by using the bottom-up approach, as very monitored environment is need to be maintained while using this bottom-up approach. The second disadvantage is chemical purification of nanomaterials is required. So the material of which the nanoparticle is to be synthesized should be available in the purest form, so that there should not be any impurities as such in the nanoparticles. If we consider the different synthesis methods, they are generally categorized as physical, chemical, biological and hybrid synthesis methods for nanoparticle synthesis. The physical further classified as mechanical and the different vapor deposition techniques. Chemical includes the colloid, sol gel, LB films, etc. Biological are using biomembrane, DNA, enzymes, microorganisms, and hybrid include the electrochemical, chemical vapor deposition, etc. We will now discuss the different mechanical methods that can be used for synthesis of nanomaterials. The first one is the high energy ball milling. The bulk nanoparticles in the form of powder can be manufactured in the high energy ball milling. The ball milling involved in this mechanical method are having four types. The first one is the planetary mill, second is vibratory mill, third is rod mill, and the last one is the tumbler mill. Whereas the second method that can be used in mechanical method is melt mixing. So different nanoparticles are arranged in glass in this mechanical method. Let us now discuss the high energy ball milling. The high energy ball milling is the one of the simplest way for the synthesis of nanoparticles of some metal and metal alloys in the form of powder. The some material like cobalt, chromium, vanadium, nickel, titanium, aluminum, ferrous alloys and gold ferrous alloys can also be made nanocrystalline using the high energy ball milling. Few milligrams to several kilograms of nanoparticles can be synthesized in a short period of time in this high energy ball milling method. This process is usually depend upon the volume or the quantity of interest. So it may vary from short period of few minutes to few hours depending upon the quantity. The initial material can be of arbitrary size and shape, and after feeding the lumps of arbitrary size and shape, then the container is closed with the tight lids. The mass ratio of ball to material is usually 2:1 is preferred. The size of container of course depends upon the quantity of interest of the nanoparticles. Usually one or more containers can be used at a time to make the large quantities of the nanoparticles. The hardened steel or tungsten carbide balls can be used in the high energy ball millings. These balls along with the powder or flakes that may be in the range less than 50 micrometers of material of interest. If the container is more than half filled, the efficiency of high energy ball milling can be reduced. So it is advised to make the container less than half filled. So or half of less than half of container material can be stored, as I already mentioned about the number of balls to the material ratio. Heavy milling balls increase the impact energy on the by collision. The larger balls used for milling produce the smaller grain size, but the larger defects in the particles. The process, however, may add some impurities from the balls, as the balls are continuously collided on the wall of the container as well as on the material, or the material of ball itself may be due to the attrition. It can lead to introduction of some impurities from the balls. The container may be filled with air or inert gas. However, this can be an additional source of impurity if the proper precaution to use high purity gases is not taken. The air or inert gas, if in impure form introduced, that may lead to formation of further impurities by the reaction of the substrate or the material to be synthesized in a high energy ball milling. It can react with air or inert gas, and it may introduce or it may produce new impurities. The gases like oxygen, nitrogen can be the source of impurities, as constantly new and active surfaces are generated during this high energy ball milling. And these newly formed surfaces are very reactive to the gases like oxygen. So they can form some oxide or nitride films onto the surface of the substance of the interest. The cryocooling is used sometimes to dissipate the heat generated during the high energy ball milling. Also introduce the liquid during the high energy ball milling. The containers are rotated at higher speed generally a few hundreds of RPM around their own axis. Additionally, they may rotate around some central axis and are therefore called as planetary ball mill. A temperature range in the range of 100 to 1100 degrees Celsius is expected to take place due to the several times collision in the ball and the material of interest. The lower temperature favors the amorphous particle formation during the high energy ball milling. If we consider the schematic of a ball mill vessel, it will look like as I am highlighting it. Okay, so several number of balls can be fed to the high energy ball mill. At the same time, we have to introduce the material of interest, of which the nanoparticles is to be synthesized, is fed to the container of this ball mill. The ball mill usually takes place in a planetary motion. The sketch on the right hand side, as I am highlighting it, it shows that the material is thrown against the wall due to the centrifugal forces acting on the particles. As it thrown against the wall during the course of rotation of a single container. The dark region here illustrating the powder material, while the rest is empty. As I already mentioned, if the ratio is maintained in proper condition, then the efficiency of this high energy ball milling would be somewhat increased. So this is all about the high energy ball milling. Let us now discuss the melt mixing. Melt mixing is a process to trap or arrest the nanoparticles inside the glass. We know the glass is an amorphous solid which lacks large range of periodic arrangement as well as symmetry arrangement of atoms as well as molecules. When a liquid is cooled below certain temperature, say T suffix m, it forms either a crystalline or solid amorphous solid glass. Beside the temperature, rate of cooling and tendency to nucleate decide whether the melt can be cooled as a glass or a crystalline solid with a long range order. So the temperature maintenance of this glass is fixed whether the crystalline glass to be formed or amorphous solid glass to be formed. Let us now discuss the next important term, that is the nucleation. Nucleation is the initial process that occurs in the formation of a crystal from a solution. It may be a liquid or a vapor in which a small number of ions, atoms or molecules become arranged in a pattern characteristic of a crystalline solid, and thereby forming a site upon which additional particles are deposited as the crystal grows. So this nucleation is important concept in the melt mixing. The nucleation is of two types. The first one is the homogeneous and second is the heterogeneous nucleation. Homogeneous nucleation is further classified as melt and supercooling, whereas the heterogeneous further differentiated as surface and surface cooling nucleation. The metals usually form crystalline solid, but if cooled at very high rate, they can form amorphous solids. Such solids are known as metallic glasses. Even in such cases, the atoms try to recognize themselves into the crystalline solids. The addition of elements like boron, phosphorus and silicon etc. help to keep the metallic glass in the amorphous state. So that is the next important definition, nucleation, that is important while we discussing the melt mixing. So thank you. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe my channel for getting the notifications of recent videos. Thank you very much.